Today we're having an executive session on a number of items, I think 12 different items here. I want to first start by thanking our teams on both sides who've worked very hard on this markup, Nikki Tushel, Dave Stewart, and Melissa Porter among some of the team, and thank the rest of the team for working so hard to get us where we are today on these important bills that are sponsored by various members, as well as Coast Guard nominations. First, I want to thank Senator Klobuchar and Senator Thune for their work on the bipartisan Open Ocean Shipping Reform Act. I know for me, the growers in my state are wondering how successful this season is going to be, because even if the crop yield is high, increased shipping costs and long shipping delays threaten Washington's farmers and their ability to get goods to market and make ends meet. Anderson Hay and Grain is based in Ellensburg in central Washington, and they've built an international business over the past 60 years. They've been exporting hay since 1970s to Japan. Their CEO, Mark Anderson, told me, quote, "The agriculture economy in our region does not work if we don't have competitive access to world markets," end quote. And right now the supply chain isn't working, and that's hurting American exporters trying to get hay, milk, apples, wheat to the global markets. And it's also hurting consumers here at home who are seeing higher prices on everyday products. During 2021, there was a 24% drop in full containers being exported from the ports of Seattle and Tacoma. That drop increased to 30% in January and February of this year. That means our exports are being left at the dock. The Washington Potato Commission reported they had 11% decrease in their exports from 2020 from 2019, and according to Dairy Gold, American dairy producers lost $1.5 billion last year due to port congestion and related challenges. I want to thank the Biden administration for their pop-up ag sites, which are allowing agriculture growers to pre-position their products on the dock so they won't be left behind. It's an innovative tool, and we're happy to participate with the USDA deputy, and thank USDA Administrator Vilsack for his leadership on this issue as well. We also here in the committee know that these shipping companies have been making record profits. They have made $150 billion in profits in 2021, and the ocean import volume for the first quarter of the year is forecasted to increase by more than 30%. So our farmers don't want special treatment. They just don't want to be exploited for the sake of these record profits. We know that according to a September 2020 freight index, that the container charge went from $1,300 a container to $11,000 a container. And these are exorbitant fees. And I think we need to have an Federal Maritime Commission that are looking at these issues. We see these other issues in other aspects of our committee, and hopefully we'll deal with them in the future. But right now, we need to take action on this important legislation. The Ocean Shipping Reform Act helps the Federal Maritime Commission, which is in charge of protecting the interests of U.S. shippers. The Commission has broad authority to oversee the practices of ports and terminal operators as well as carriers. For example, in May 2020, the Commission issued a rule to clarify what is reasonable for daily fee charges by carriers for boxes stored at ports. That rule on detention and demurrage is an improvement, but it has not been fully realized due to the challenges in accessing actionable and enforceable information from the large foreign carriers. That is what changes in the underlying bill by our colleagues, Senator Klobuchar and Thune. This bill strengthens the Commission's authority regarding these daily fees called detention and demurrage by shifting the burden of proof from shippers to the carriers. It requires the Commission to determine what fees are unreasonable so that we can crack down on the extra costs that are facing our farmers and growers. Our substitute amendment raises the bar even further by requiring ocean carriers to submit additional detailed data and cost information to the Commission to certify that they are complying with the law in each and every time and for what they are charging shippers for detention and demurrage. Having that information at the Commission's fingertip will help us boost enforcement and cut down on extraneous fees and charges. And the bill includes 2 additional rulemakings to strengthen the Commission's authority. First, the bill would prohibit ocean carriers from unreasonably declining U.S. cargo. This is the top ask by the American exporters whose products have been left on the docks. Second, the bill would amend the prohibitions in the Shipping Act to make it unlawful to retaliate against shippers or even threaten the denial of American cargo. As we tried to strengthen this bill in committee, I could already tell that some of these companies were definitely threatening retaliation on growers. So I hope that by the time we get to the floor, with the help of our colleagues here, we can strengthen this bill even more. As the pandemic-related supply chain challenges unfolded, it became crystal clear that the Commission lacked the resources and tool to enforce U.S. law and keep our exporters and importers competitive, and that is why the substitute also addresses the resources that are needed at the Commission. So again, I want to thank Senator Klobuchar and Thune for working on this important issue and encourage my colleagues to vote for this legislation. Also on today's agenda is the Duckworth legislation, the Martha Wright Reed Just and Reasonable Act, and I thank her for her leadership. The Next Generation Telecom Act, which is co-sponsored by Senators Cortez Masto, Wicker, Thune, Lujan, that would create Next Generation Telecom Council to advise on 5G. Also, Senator Wicker's Freight Act, and I appreciate his willingness to work with us. We've been able to, I think, improve that legislation, and I plan to join him as a co-sponsor. Next, we have legislation from Senators Rosen and Cornyn, the TSA Reaching Across Nationalities, Societies, and Language to Advance Travel Act, and appreciate their support. The Blunt, Wyden, Klobuchar, Fisher bill on Low Power Protection Act, and the legislation by Senators Peter and Capito strengthening support for American Manufacturing Act. A GAO report identified 58 programs across 11 agencies that support manufacturing and strengthening them, and a preventing PSA runoff at airports by Peters, Moran, Klobuchar, Duckworth, Capito, and Lummis, and the Right Whale Coexistence Act of 2022 by Senators Booker, Carper, Blumenthal, and Whitehouse. And finally, I think Senator Wicker's FAA Leadership Status Act that would amend the U.S. Code to eliminate restrictions on retired military service members to serve both at the FAA and deputy positions. I'm sorry, forgot the Forecasting Act by Senator Wicker's been very busy on this markup. You're not going anywhere, are you? Anyway, my point is this is a very important legislation. NOAA needs to have more ability. We see how weather is impacting us all the time. So this Forecasting Improvement Act of 2017 to update on current tornado rating and systems, I think will help us improve communications to the public. Now I'll